Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. But I have double the surprise because I have two guests instead of one. I have on Zoom with me right now Bryan Parkerson, and he is the director of Blood Repentance. And I have Honey Gregory, who will be playing Elizabeth in Blood Repentance, and she also was Honey the Mail Girl in Joe Bob's Drive-In Theater. Hey, Honey. Hey, Bryan. How you doing today?
Hey.
Doing good, man. Doing really good.
And so
Honey's got that crazy resume, man. She was in Drive-In Theater. She's also in Monster Vision.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then she's like this super kick butt lawyer prosecuting at theaters near you.
No, don't quite prosecute. I don't prosecute anybody. I'm not a prosecutor.
When
I'm a family law attorney.
When I was looking, like researching Honey a little bit just to see what she was in, and to make sure when I ask my questions, write them all up. I do my research on everybody just to make sure I have all the right information. I'm like, lawyer, is this the right person? Lawyer. They kept coming up, lawyer, and I'm like, well, maybe it is the right person.
That would be me.
So I'll start off with Bryan, and then I'll go to Honey. It's basically going to be the same question for both of you. So Bryan, how did you get your start into filmmaking? And then Honey, after he answers, how did you get your start into acting?
Okay.
Well, for me, it was really the big answer is getting older. I'm nearing 40, and I've got an established career, but I realized that the honest answer is I'm not really happy doing what I'm doing. And just the way I'm wired, I can't do a job I hate. I can't stay in a career I hate. Life's too short. So I started going on this sort of introspective journey, trying to figure out what it is I want to do with my life. And one of the things I first did was start a podcast. And that's actually how Honey and I met. I became really good friends. She was one of the first people I called to come on my show. And as I started pursuing the podcast, I realized making films is what I wanted to do. So a friend of mine had actually challenged me to do like a 2-minute just short with a friend of mine. Because I had asked him to be a part of my company. I started a company called Dawn Journey Productions. And he said, well, I want to see that you're serious about it. So I want you to make a little 2-minute video with your friend. And that 2-minute video became Blood Repentance. And it's got a full cast, got a full crew. It's we're still in production. We're picking up production again next week. And we're hoping to be done right at the beginning of November and have it in the can and ready to go.
Nice. So what about you, Honey? How'd you get your start in acting?
Well, I'd always wanted to be an actress. It was a dream from when I was little. Really little, like 4 or 5, maybe. Fell in love with Elvis Presley, and I wanted to be in Elvis movies. And of course, I didn't know that I couldn't be. I just knew I wanted to be. And it was always a dream, and I always talked about it. And then I graduated high school and got married, because I really didn't know how to become an actress. I didn't really have that family support, that parent that put you in every, play and every modeling contest and all that kind of junk, that got you out there. I didn't have those kind of parents. So after my divorce, I just decided I was going to figure it out. And I went and literally looked in the phone book and saw modeling agencies in there, called them. A couple of them called me back. And then I actually was going to sign with one of them, and I went and met with them, and they sent me out on an audition, and it was a weird situation. The guy was creepy and inappropriate, and so I called him, and I was upset. And then the kind of, the word of mouth at that point, I was kind of putting feelers out like, hey, does anybody know? And then I learned the right agency to go to, and I went, and they picked me up, and it was Kim Dawson agency, and they were the best of the best in Dallas. And I was lucky enough that they agreed to represent me, and they started sending me out on auditions, and I was like, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Bryan, for those that are unaware, what is Blood Repentance about, and where did this idea for this film come from?
It's a vampire story about loss and redemption. Ultimately, that's sort of the Cliff Notes version of it. Gosh, nobody's asked where the idea came from. That's a great question. I think, like so many things in my mind, it just kind of randomly popped in my head. I was trying to just sit and think of a good story, and I actually was watching I think I had the idea for like a vampire story that involved friends going to search for a missing friend. But I was actually watching a video on YouTube about good screenwriting, because I had no idea how to do screenwriting, and it started kind of breaking down what a story is and the different, every screenplay has a certain format it follows. Every one of them. You get the outliers. People have been doing it for a long time. They can kind of break the rules and get away with it. But for the most part, every screenplay has a formula that it follows. So I started taking notes, and what was really weird is I had no idea how involved and thought provoking and I don't want to say difficult, but it's you have to put a lot of thought into your screenplay, because as I was writing it, as I was putting the pieces together, I would realize, well, there's a plot hole here, or there's a plot hole here. I've got to explain this, and it really felt like putting together a puzzle. So I was just kind of sitting there on my phone in a little note app, just kind of going back and forth, like, okay, if I have this here and I have this character here, then this is my ending. And the best piece of advice that the video I watched gave me was, this guy said that's like, I can't remember the exact percentage, but a high percentage of screenplays are abandoned because people can't figure out a way to end them. So he said to start your screenplay with your ending and work backwards. So I knew how I wanted to end it. Now I just had to kind of make my way to the ending, Right. But it just, I don't know. It just popped in my head. And I think the story just kind of evolved over time. The screenplay itself's been through 13, 14, 15, maybe more drafts. I've actually still got a couple more changes I've got to make, because we've, when you're dealing with independent films, there's a lot of audibles get called pretty constantly. You get cast changes and location changes, and so it's so I've actually got to make a couple changes for the upcoming production. But for the most part, at its core, it is what it is. The meat of the story has not changed.
Okay, awesome. So, honey, how'd you get involved with this film?
Through Bryan.
I want to hear you tell the story. You tell it.
Oh my gosh, you're expecting me to remember? I don't know. We were talking, and he was talking about shooting and casting and doing this and telling me about the story, yada yada. And we were just, talking on the phone. And my daughter and I were trying to plan a little getaway. And every year we go to Kentucky, and she wanted to go somewhere different. And last year we went to Tennessee, and she kind of wanted to go to Tennessee again. But because our family was the family that was one of the 4 families that settled and started, was it Sevierville? Sevierville, however you pronounce it. So we went last year to check that out, because that was like my great 7 or 8 generations back grandpa who helped with one of the original people that it settled there and built the fort. So she kind of wanted to go back to Tennessee, and I was telling Bryan, like, we may go to Tennessee. I don't know what we're doing yet. And somehow we had this conversation. I said, well, if we go to Tennessee, maybe we'll come by, go a little, come through there or whatever and say hi. And then next thing I know, our conversation was like, Bryan calls me, oh, I have an idea.
I found the text conversation. I just did.
Oh, you did?
I just put my IT skills to use. Okay, so this was June 7th. That morning started out with a meme from you that was kind of funny.
What was it? I can't remember.
It was the one about the guy blowing up the bathroom. And then I sent you the YouTube video about the guy at I think it was like a Home Depot or something. And they called in the bomb squad because he told everybody, y'all need to get out. I'm about to blow up the bathroom. And he was just, so that's how that morning started. We were trading potty humor. And she, honey, I of all the things I can't remember, I remember that for some reason. But so we were talking about the actors being volunteers, and you were kind of gauging what does the acting space look like, because you're wanting to get into acting. And for whatever reason, I said to you, if you're feeling stir crazy, you're 1,000% or 10,000% welcome to come hang out on set. And he said, remind me where you're located again. And I told you. And you're like, well, let me talk. You want to talk to Hannah about it. And so later that day, I got to thinking, and I got an idea for the film. And I said, if she does come down to visit, because you had mentioned you were planning to come to Kentucky, and maybe you could make a pit stop where I'm at. So I got to thinking, so I called one of my business partners. I couldn't get a hold of the other one. They were okay with it. And although I didn't have unanimous consent, I didn't care. I was going to make an executive decision because I was like, if I can get Honey in my movie, I'm getting Honey in my movie. So I called her. I said, hey, I've got some fun news. She goes, well, I'm all about fun news. So, and I pitched the idea to her, and what we ended up shooting was quite different than what I pitched. But I'll tell you, that was a nerve-wracking week and a half, man. I was convinced in my brain that something was going to happen to keep that from happening. Cause I could not believe the very first movie I'm ever making, I've got Honey Gregory in it. I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. And what's funny is it came close to coming true because I ended up having a COVID exposure. And I started getting like seasonal allergies or cold or something, but I took like 3 COVID tests. They were all negative. I'm like, okay, it's fine. So Honey came down, we met for dinner, and it was weird because it felt like we had known each other for 20 years. Like,
yeah, it's bizarre. It's like I was meeting like family or something.
It really was. And then we made the film that night, man. And it's, nice. And her scenes were fantastic. I mean, she gets out there, she just lights up the room. She comes in, Honey's one of those people, she walks on set and like, it's her set, just because she has that kind of like, she's awesome. And she's friends with everybody. I mean, literally friends with everybody. She's getting pictures of people, and then we get into this big discussion. That whole day was pretty funny, actually, because if we rewind a little bit, we can go to like where I needed to get outfits for her. Because we were going to have to ruin the clothes.
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh. So I go to like Marshall's or Ross. I think it was Ross. I went to Ross.
Yeah.
And I'm standing in the women's clothing aisle, and I'm just standing there staring because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so completely lost. I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. She had sent me sizes, but for whatever reason, there was this disconnect between the information I'm looking at on my phone and the clothes, like somewhere between my phone, me, and the clothes. Like I just couldn't make it connect. Right. So I called her, and thankfully she answered. And after laughing at me about it, she thought it was pretty funny. I think you laughed at me. I'm
sure I probably did. I think Hannah and I were going somewhere or something.
But you guys,
were we?
Y'all were driving.
We were in the car. We were going somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you were driving down. It was your trip down.
It was that same day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was the same day. So I'm like trying to figure out what I'm doing. She's walking me through it. So I got off the phone with her. I felt about 20% more confident, but I still felt lost. There's this like random little old lady standing there in the aisle. So I just walk up to her and I explain to her what I'm doing. Like, can you please help me buy clothes? Cause I don't know what I'm doing. So I finally got like 4 outfits together, and
you did good. They were good outfits.
Yeah, but then came the indecision about like what to wear, So she's like, "Well, what do you want me to wear?" I'm like, "Whatever you're most." My answer kept was whatever you're most comfortable with. That's what. Well, but what does the character want? Like, I'm like, whatever's comfortable. Like you're gonna have to wear this all night. I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel comfortable. And
right.
And so there was like this just back and forth, but like so she went and tried on different things, and the one you settled on, it was a gray shirt and jeans. Yeah. And it was perfect. It actually was perfect because it was very real.
It's very comfortable. So you got your wish.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in my mind, I'm sitting there like I think what was really weighing on me is she gets attacked in the scene, and I was really worried about that scene. I was worried about her feeling safe. I was worried about Corey feeling safe. I just had a lot of anxiety anyway about the whole day, because one of the things she did that really touched me is she actually texted me earlier on and just told me she was nervous. She was anxious. And that meant a lot.
It was a nervous wreck driving down there and to be in this thing. I'm like, my God, I haven't acted in 100 years, It's like, oh my God.
That meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot to me because that told me that she cared. She cared so much about what I was doing that she was actually nervous about it.
I think I said something to Hannah like, "Oh my God, what if I suck?" And Hannah goes, "Oh, Mom, you'll be fine."
And she knocked it out of the park, man. I mean, like she got so, and what was funny is we wrote no dialogue for this.
Mhm.
And so there was a lot of freedom for her to sort of just ad lib and do what she felt like the
Right.
character needed to do. And she did. I mean,
Mhm.
like she, at one point she like starts slamming the door, which was not in the
Right.
script, and it worked. I mean, like if you look at the footage, I've got some BTS of it.
Mhm.
It's awesome. I mean, she just really, that's the sign of a good actor or actress. Like if you can not only act with dialogue, like you go when you can go beyond dialogue and act with your face, with
Mhm.
your expressions, with your emotions, just with what you're doing with your body in general. That's true acting. That's
Yeah.
good acting. And she knocks it out of the park. And like I said, everybody just fell in love with her. I mean,
Everybody
she
was
walks in.
wonderful. Everybody there was great. They're all great. They're nice and fun
That's
and
awesome.
funny. And yeah, you could
It
tell
was
everybody was
funny.
a real close knit group, all
Mhm.
good friends.
Yeah.
Right. So, honey, you play Elizabeth in this movie. So, what can you tell us about Elizabeth? Who is she? What is she, what can we expect from her? I know the
I
NDAs
can't tell
are
you. I
So
can't tell you.
so here's the tough part. It's a short film.
okay.
Yeah.
I've
And they're
packed,
only in that one scene.
Okay.
but what's fun. So here's what I will tell you. Um, I packed so much into the screenplay in terms of twists and plot
Mhm.
development and things like that. We actually have to keep a lot of it close to the vest because to really give anything to talk about it gives something
Mhm.
away, believe it or not. But what I can say is when you look at Honey's character, it's going to look like she's a minor character, but she's actually an integral character. Um, so while her part may seem small in the film,
Mhm.
uh, I'm actually I already have an idea for a sequel in mind that I want to do,
Okay.
and she's a big part of the sequel.
Okay. Nice.
So her
I could only go for like the evening, so I couldn't like stay all weekend or anything. But so he worked me in.
Nice, nice. So, honey, little birdie told me you are an author and a podcaster as well. So,
Oh,
what can you tell us about your writing work and your podcast? Do you want to promote any of that?
well, um, podcasting. I started doing some shooting in December of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did 8 episodes before March 20. No, we did 6 episodes before March 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then things started shutting down. So we hurry up and did 2 more episodes, and then things shut down for a year. So everything got put on hold because my podcasts were in person in my office, and
Okay.
it's in kind of a lounge sitting, and we
Mm-hmm.
videoed it, and it's on YouTube and
Mm-hmm.
on oh, I forget that thing. Starts with
Spotify.
L. Les, can't think of the name of it. Anyway, it's on Apple and all those other ones.
Okay.
But it all shut down.
Mm.
So we just quit. And then it got really expensive because, now everybody's like, well, we can't do it here this time. We can't do it that time. And I'm sick and they're sick. And are we going to wear masks or not? And it just got so weird. And then some people were
Yeah.
like, well, are you going to vaccinate? Do we have to be vaccinated? It's just, the whole thing just got weird.
Yeah.
And I said, stop. I just can't.
Yep.
No. And it was really expensive. It was about $500 an episode.
Wow.
And the business had slowed down almost to a halt because of COVID. And I was just like, okay, it's just not meant to be right now. Just let that one go.
Right.
But I mean, I'm halfway through writing a book for divorce.
Okay.
And then I'm writing another book that's related to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've done some fun little books for take to conventions. But Bryan's probably talking about my movie script, and I'm in negotiations right now on that. So
Awesome.
I can't say much.
Right.
Well, first of all, how do you know that I said something? Why do you assume that it was me that said it?
I
Is he
know.
the little birdie?
I know. Tweet.
Those pesky contracts though, right? They have everything tight-lipped. I know that too well. Yep. But I'm sure when you do have more information about all that and you are allowed to share all that, where would anybody that's watching this be able to find that information out?
Well, right now it's probably all on social media because Bryan and I have been talking about creating a website, but we just haven't got there yet. We've both been so busy. but he helped me set up some social media pages.
Okay.
So we've been putting stuff on there.
Awesome.
Brian's been very, very helpful because I don't know what I'm doing.
Not a problem. So, Bryan, is there going to be or will there be an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign? And if so, how can people donate and what are the perks that you would like to highlight?
That's a great question. That's been a very hot topic of late. I think there will be. We are going to need a lot of it's going to be finishing funds. You know, as the project's gone on, I've been able to get equipment and other things that we needed through my business partners. And, but we're going to need, I would like to pay my crew. I would love to pay my cast, my crew. And we're going to try to get it in festivals. So we're definitely going to need some finishing funds. There are some things that we will definitely need money for. And I have some, and I've been thinking about perks. You know, like I've got a t-shirt that she wore and that she signed it. We attempted to sign it. It's sort of signed. I mean, your full name's on it, but it's not like it's not
hard to sign. It was hard to sign with that pen on that shirt, but we tried.
Yeah, we did. So it's an attempted signature on a shirt that she did wear. You know, I've actually got the dish glove she had on during the scene.
Yeah, those are hilarious.
I've still got the plates. I don't know if anybody would want the plates, but I've got some stuff like that. I've been considering doing things like, you know, maybe we could do like a podcast with somebody, you know, if somebody wanted to donate like $1,000 or something, I would put together a podcast with the cast and crew, including Honey, and we'd do a podcast together, you know.
Yeah,
I might. So yeah, you know, the big one, I was like, if I can raise $10,000 for this movie, if I can raise $10,000. Now, I don't know if you use video or not for this podcast, but for those of you who can't see, 3/4 of my screen is my beard. Okay. My beard is that big.
Bigger.
Yeah. So if I can raise $10,000 for this project, I'm going to get the camera rolling. I'm going to get everybody together and they're going to shave my beard off.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that's going to have to, you know, that's going to have to be for 10 grand. Like people are going to have to pay for that if they want to see that. Nice. And I'll put the picture on Facebook, and for that, you know, for a month, I'll rock my clean shaven face. Nice. It's going to be terrible. Nice. But you know, that's how dedicated I am. Like, I don't care if I make any money off of this. I want to pay my people, because I've learned in doing filmmaking, you're nothing without your team.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care how good of a filmmaker you are. You can't do anything without a team. And my team I'm sitting here talking to you today because of those people.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to do something big to say thank you. And if I can pay them, I also want to premiere the film at, there's a local theater here in Knoxville where you can actually play indie films. So I want to do it up. I want to do like a red carpet thing. I want to invite everybody, get our families together. I want to really say thank you to my team. But at the very least,
that might be pricey. You might wind up spending most of your money on that.
That's true. I won't go that. I definitely don't want to like Indiegogo for something like that. I'll put it on a credit card if I have to. But you know, I just want to pay my people, because they've worked really hard and they've stood next to me and believed in what I'm doing. And I'm here right now because of them. And I want to pay them, and I want to thank them. You know,
absolutely.
I mean, what's cool too is, you know, Honey, like she and I are really, really, really close friends, but she's been with me this entire journey. I mean, she literally, I reached out to her probably my second week into trying to I wasn't even doing the filmmaking yet. I was just pursuing the podcast, and she's literally watched my journey into this from the start.
Absolutely. That's great. And I'm excited to see this movie, and I'm excited for both of you to see what's gonna go down with this, and especially if there is a sequel, that'll be exciting. That'll be really exciting. So the last question I got for both of you is, do you have anything at all that you want to promote, projects, social media accounts, websites, or anything at all to the listening and the viewing audience?
Well, Honey, let's start with you.
Me?
Yeah. Start with your social media. You are on social media now, and the people need to know.
Oh, my life is so exciting. There's so much to know. No,
can I tell you a funny story real quick? Can I?
Yes, absolutely.
Please.
I have been teaching I've been teaching her how to use Twitter, and Honey's a grill. By the way, little known trivia fact about Honey Gregory: she is a grill master. This woman can grill a mean pork chop. She is a hardcore grill person.
Nice.
Oh, no.
And so she randomly sent me a picture of these pork chops she was grilling. Or were they on the grill or was it on the plate? I think
they were on the grill. They were on the grill.
And I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic. I want to post it on your Twitter." And she was completely perplexed on why I'd want to do that. I'm like, you don't understand. People, this is what the people want to see. They want to know what it's like to be in your life. They want to see what you eat. They want to see, what you're doing. Like people want to feel connected to you, So this is exactly what they want to see. And like she just it was, and I think still is perplexed by that. So now I keep getting these food pictures from her. It's like, hey, here's what I'm having for dinner. Like the last one posted was homemade keto noodles with vegetables.
Let me just say, and that couldn't be more true because I always post my dinner pictures every day on Facebook, right? And it led to me getting www.cookingwithscotty.com. I'm not trying to cheap plug, but I'm just saying that it literally, so people do want to see food pictures.
Oh, they do. My gosh.
Yeah, well, that last one was ruined by she put Twilight in the picture. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Okay, so my number one dietary dark chocolate. Nice. Okay, for those who want to know, I eat it all day long.
Nice.
Anyway, so I had to throw that in.
Twilight was something else. Let me just say.
Well, now you need to watch all 12 of the other.
My daughter, I got it because my daughter had seen it a couple of years ago, and she's not a scary movie person, so she was scared to watch it, and she watched it with her friends, and I was like, oh my god, so finally the other day I was at half price books, wherever, and I got it for like a couple pennies. It was like nothing. And so I said, do you want to watch it with mommy? And she said, yeah. And she goes, I warn you, mommy. She goes, it's really cringy. It's really cringy. I was like, oh, a teeny bopper movie, great. And it was so bad. Sometimes she and I would just laugh so hard I nearly peed my pants. Okay, it was so bad. It was hysterical. But Bryan was giving me a hard time. He's like, "You're not gonna watch that."
So I will say something that I have never publicly confessed. Nobody outside of my inner circle knows.
Exclusive on Slasher
Scotty.
And
actually, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. This actually, I don't think I've ever publicly said this to anybody except like friends. I had to watch all of those films with my ex-wife, and I will admit that I actually enjoyed them. I enjoyed the story and I enjoyed the characters. I not to the extent that I want to go back and watch them again necessarily, but I actually did enjoy them. My concern about Twilight was it has such a bad reputation that people are gonna like. I don't want her to put anything in her book that's gonna discredit it. It's like imagine having like a bunch of like
my book.
Strike that from the record. I didn't say anything. I did not say
bad,
anything.
But I have to admit, I am curious to see what the next one is. But it was like, oh my god, Hannah and I we just burst out laughing, especially when he snatches her up and throws her on her back and races up the hill. I laughed so hard I couldn't even stand it. It was just like, oh, I did not just see that.
once you get past the cheese, though, like once you get past it, it's actually not a bad story.
Well, it's your typical teenager, mad at my mom.
Love story.
Yeah, I've seen this story 1,000 times. It's usually a girl on a horse, or or the farm girl goes to New York, or
one of those Hallmark movies where the prince is supposed to marry the princess, but he goes for the lowly peasant.
Yes, that's real.
But let us not forget the ultimate vampire movie, The Lost Boys. That is like the best vampire movie. I mean,
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my god! How can? Now, hang on a second. How in the world can you have been a young woman in the 80s and have not seen The Lost Boys?
In the 80s? In the 80s, I was graduating high school. I got married. I had a new baby, and I worked nights. So I didn't like hang out at the movie theaters. I was busy. Daytime with my child, nighttime working at a club, and hanging out in movies was not something I had a lot of time for. There's a
That's
lot
fair.
of movies from the 80s and 90s that now, like, I'm discovering, like, oh wow, this is great. It's like the secret agent goes to Paris and kills the bad guy. I'm like, ooh, I love this.
You're gonna love The Lost Boys. It's one of those movies that really defines that decade, but it's not cheesy about it. That's the one thing it gets right. It's very 80s. Like if you were to it really speaks for its time.
Clooney's in that one. Is that the one with Clooney?
No, Clooney's not in that one. That's
Corey
you're thinking of
Feldman.
Dust Till Dawn.
Not
Oh,
Corey
It's got
Feldman.
okay.
It's got Corey Haim.
Yeah.
It's got Kiefer Sutherland. I can't remember the other two people.
Before they were famous.
Actually, the Coreys were famous at this point. I think this was still one of their
what year did Lost Boys come out?
I think it's 84 or 85. I mean,
because 84 was Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and Corey Feldman was Tommy Jarvis in that.
87. Yeah.
Okay, so Corey Feldman was in Friday the 13th years before this, and he was in the Goonies before this too.
Yeah, so Corey Feldman, he'd been
in the Goonies, yeah, Friday the 13th 4. Yeah,
Is he still acting?
Yeah, he was just in a recent indie film, 13 Fanboy, by Friday the 13th alumni Debbie Sue Voorhees.
Oh, okay.
That had a lot of the Friday the 13th alumni in it. Corey Feldman had a smaller part in that.
The last time I saw him, he was on some video talking about Hollywood and the negative sides of things.
Yeah.
Feldman had been in his first movie was in 84.
Okay.
I think, but it kind of looks like The Lost Boys may have been the one that kind of kicked off his career because that's when he started doing, after Lost Boys was when he started doing some of the other stuff, License to Drive, in those movies. So yeah, so I think Haim probably got famous from The Lost Boys. That's probably what really kicked his career off. But Feldman had been kind of at it since before then.
Nice.
Jason Patrick, Diane Wiest, that's how you pronounce her last name. Edward Herrmann was awesome in that movie. But yeah, honey, when you watch it, it's like it's one of those stereotypically 80s movies, but it does it well. It doesn't do it cheesy.
Am I going to be grossed out or cheesed out?
Neither. It's just a fantastic movie. It is. Okay. It's one of those like decade defining. Like you can tell, like, okay, this is definitely an 80s film. It's got all the culture in it, but it doesn't do it cheesily. It's very well done. It's a fantastic movie. I cannot wait to get the IMs about it after you watch it. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. So do you guys have any social medias or websites or anything to promote?
Go ahead, Bryan. You know all the addresses.
All right. Okay. All right. So we'll start with Honey. So Honey is on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Her Twitter is at Honey Mill Girl. Her Instagram is Honey the Mill Girl. Her Facebook is just Honey. She is an author. She does have a podcast if you want to check it out.
Well, that's on my business page. So it's kind of, it's all about business. I mean, it's about divorce stuff. So might be boring to the average person watching.
It's really well done though. It's really, really well done. Mm-hmm. I am very active on Facebook. If people want to find me, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm even on Pinterest actually. I'm pretty much on all the social medias, but Facebook's where I'm at the most. I sporadically use Twitter. But you can find me Bryan Parkerson, look for a giant beard. My company, Dawn Journey Productions, we do have a Twitter page at Dawn Journey Prod. We do have an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page as well. My podcast is called That Other Interview Show. I'm on all the major platforms. I've got a Facebook page for it. And I think we just have the Facebook page for it. Actually starting tomorrow, a movie I co-wrote with Steve Herman, who you've had on the show. Yep. It came from somewhere. It's a 50s sci-fi B movie. They're starting production on that tomorrow. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to miss it due to a COVID thing, but we're really excited about that. I can't wait to see what that movie's going to become.
Yep, I had Steve on. I had Ann Myrna on. I had her on twice to promote Trepidity, and it came from somewhere. So
did you get to see Trepidity? Have you seen it?
I didn't get the chance to see it yet. No.
But it's so good. That's how I connected with them. That's how I connected with them. It's really good. That whole group, Acrostar, is amazing.
Yeah.
Blood Repentance will be, our goal is early November to have it in the can and done. And then we're going to hit the festivals with it. Honey's got some special plans for it as well. And I'm going to try to do a theater premiere as well.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan. So everybody that if they want to see what Bryan or even Honey, what you both are up to, maybe a year from now, because maybe they're watching this a year from now, you can check out their IMDb pages. I'm sure they'll be updated with any projects that were done in the past they have going on in the future and that they're currently working on in the present.
Yeah, we definitely have stuff in the works for sure.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, I thank you, Bryan. I thank you, Honey, so much for both of you for joining me this evening. It's really been a lot of fun. I had a great time.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Scotty.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You both have a great rest of your night.
You
Thanks.
too.
You too. Get some sleep.
Thank you. Bye.